welcome to this new video for my channel, The Mental Traveler. I'm Carrera and today I'm going to be talking about Jane Eyre, both the novel and some of its adaptations. Jane Eyre is a book published back in 1847 by Charlotte Bronte. At this time though, she had to publish it under the name of Currer Bell because there was a lot of prejudice regarding the value of a story written by a woman. Charlotte's two sisters faced the same problem when they wanted to publish their own works. I have yet to read Bronte, but their sister Emily wrote Wuthering Heights along with Jane Eyre. They're both like some of the most beloved classics of English literature, which in a way is why there have been so many adaptations of it. And while I usually don't like them to remake over and over again the same story because they tend to leave behind other important classics as well, I do love Jane Eyre so much that I don't mind having them adapted quite a lot. Anyways, since Jane Eyre was a hit since its publication, the world soon found out that the author was a woman, and they didn't end up caring at all. Before I begin, let me just say that this will be a spoiler-free review, so sit back and enjoy. Back when I was 16, I had this huge crush on Timothy Dalton, and I still do. So I decided to watch his works. He appeared as Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights when he was younger. I discovered that he'd appeared in the early 80s in this period drama TV series called Jane Eyre, and it was on YouTube, still is. And because I am an Anglophile who loves period dramas, history and romance, I thought it would be cool to check it out. And I was not disappointed. I was in for quite a ride because as soon as I finished this version of the story, I started watching as many adaptations as I could find about Jane Eyre. So far I've seen the 1943 film, the one from 1973, the one from 1983, the one from 1996, the one from 1997, the one from 2006, and the one from 2011. I also want to see this adaptation with Charlton Heston as Rochester, but yes, if I remember correctly, it didn't take me long to read the book as soon as I first discovered Jane Eyre. And since then I've read it around 3 or 4 times, but it was great that, along with Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights, this was my introduction into Byronic heroes, a literary creation that I find really appealing in male characters. What is a Byronic hero exactly? Well, they have a lot of qualities, and these are some of them. They don't have to have them all. Intelligent, cunning, ruthless, arrogant, depressive, violent, self-aware, emotionally and intellectually tortured, sexually attractive, traumatized, highly emotional, manipulative, anti-heroes, cynical, self-serving, spiritually doubtful, reckless, suicidal, prone to sudden bursts of anger, maybe prone to substance abuse, pursues justice over legality, have self-destructive impulses, among more. There's this whole culture of them being like the period drama bad boys, and reading about them in classic novels never gets old. When I was younger, I had this big crush on them, but as I grow older, I tend to now analyze them and why they are the way they are, not just think that they're cute and I want to be their romantic lead. And as time goes on, I keep on discovering that I'm really attracted as a reader and as a viewer to these sort of men, these unconventional social outcasts in a way. And not only Mr. Rochester and Heathcliff, but Severus Snape, the Phantom of the Opera, Dracula, Bruce Wayne, Frank Castle from The Punisher, Claude Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Edmond Dantes from The Count of Monte Cristo, Eugene Onegin, James Bond, and maybe even Anakin Skywalker and Sandor Clegane. I would also just like to mention this fun fact. Jane Eyre was published in 1847, around the time one of my favorite authors in English literature wrote his novel, which I also adore, Vanity Fair, A Novel Without a Hero, by William Makepeace Thackeray. And I believe that both authors admire each other's works, and Bronte even went on to one of the editions of Jane Eyre to Thackeray. I think though that what I really like is that both stories deal with governesses in England in the 19th century. They're both protagonists, and yet they are so different from each other. And yet I like both Rebecca Sharp and Jane Eyre as equally. I just dream of attending a class where they're both analyzed, where the limited roles of women in society back in the 19th century is explored and what they had to do to survive. But anyways, a first-person narrative, this is the story of Jane Eyre, a poor orphan girl living with some rich relations who don't like her one bit. They make her life miserable and finally send her away to boarding school for orphan girls. Young Jane is very passionate, but her time at school teaches her to control her emotions. She is also smart and accomplished, which leads her into becoming a governess when she's 18, manor house called Thornfield Hall for the ward of the master of the house. This man turns out to be Mr. Rochester, and who also has strong passions and keeps a dark secret from his past. But will Jane discover it or not? A lot of other things happen later on, but I won't tell you what they are so as not to spoil it for you. I give Jane Eyre, the novel, a 5 out of 5 stars review. I thoroughly enjoyed it and recommend it, and I hope you read it at least once in your life. If you like romance, intrigue, faith, hope, religion, morality, overcoming hardships, and never truly letting go of your true self along the way, then this is a book for you. It's full of beautiful lessons that still resonate to this day, even though we're living in a totally different society. And Jane Eyre is a wonderful protagonist and an admirable role model for girls, because whatever she may lack in one area, she compensates in another. And I love how when I first discovered Jane Eyre, I was more attracted to the love story. As time goes by, I've come to appreciate other aspects of the novel. Jane Eyre is no saint or sinner, but rather a little bit of both, making her human and truly likable and relatable. I could empathize with many of her decisions. Whenever she was at war with herself, it is realistic. There is something that I wish I had that she has. I don't know, some quality I really admire. She inspires love in different people, and I would like to quote something that the famous author Virginia Woolf said about Jane Eyre, the book. As we open Jane Eyre once more, we cannot stifle the suspicion that we shall find her world of imagination as antiquated, mid-Victorian, and out of date as the parsonage on the moor, a place only to be visited by the curious, only preserved by the pious. So we open Jane Eyre, and in 2 pages, every doubt is kept clean from our minds. There is nothing of the book except Jane Eyre. Anyways, I would like now to review some of its adaptations. First one would be the one from 1983, the TV series. It will always have a special place in my heart because it was my introduction to Jane Eyre. Because I will also always love Timothy Dalton, and because it is quite a long TV series, it covers a lot of the book. Stella Clark plays Jane Eyre. And I remember that Dalton as Rochester, well, he really made an impression on me. And I still find some of his scenes where he's so emotional totally wonderful. So I give this adaptation a 5 out of 5 stars review. As to the one from 2006, I've only actually seen this adaptation like once or twice before, and so it may be possible that with time my opinion of it may have changed. I do recall that I really liked it back in the day, which is why I always think of it as one of my top 3. As Mr. Rochester, his take on this character is more sexual, and that's really interesting to explore. Ruth Wilson plays Jane Eyre, and well, I give it a 4 out of 5 stars review. And then finally, the 2011 adaptation. It starts the handsome Michael Fassbender as Mr. Rochester and Mia Wasikowska as Jane. I really love it because even though it's only a movie and thus it has to cut a lot of things from the novel, I consider it a very faithful masterpiece of an adaptation. It has a lot of gothic approaches to the story, bleak landscapes, haunted halls, mythic ethereal elements, and so on. At bits, Rochester even conveys some beastly elements, but I love it. The interaction between the actors is beautiful, and this is the version that I've seen the most out of all of them. I can never get tired of it, and along with one from 1983, it is my favorite, which is why I give it a 5 out of 5 stars review. And well, regarding the portrayals of Jane Eyre in these adaptations, all of them have a different approach to the character, which is wonderful in a way because it means that there's so much of Jane Eyre that one can get. She's really relatable to every kind of woman, I think. She has so many complexities and layers. Still, as I was reading the novel for this review, Stella Clark's adaptation and Mia Wasikowska's approach to Jane Eyre came to mind. And I find that the former plays Jane in a way more happy attitude, whereas the latter's approach, the character is more moderate, calm, and sedate. Maybe even more shy or pessimistic? I don't know. But they're both really well done. But yeah, anyways, Jane Eyre is just a universally loved character who serves as a wonderful role to women and girls, even in this age. But anyways, I believe that for the moment this is all I have to say about Jane Eyre, with the book and its adaptations. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please let me know if you agreed or disagreed with anything I said here, because I would love to talk about Jane Eyre and everything belonging to this world with you. In the description box below you can find a link to the Goodreads page for the novel, as well as a link to the IMDB page for the 1983 version, the 2006 version, and the 2011 adaptation. And well, I'm Carrera, the Mental Traveler, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.